I wanted to do a show on leprechauns, but it's kind of hard to learn anything about the little bastards. Apparently, like many diminutive creatures in European folklore, such as sprites, fairies, and brownies, not the type of brownies you eat, well, maybe you might. The leprechaun probably has its roots in the pagan past. Such beings may have started out as pagan spirits, or even gods whose importance and stature became diminished over time following the arrival of Christianity. As is the case with a lot of old words, the etymology of leprechaun is a bit unclear, and if you already thought I was bad with pronunciations, you should hear me try to speak Gaelic. I'll just put the variations or variants up on the screen for you. One possibility is that it derives from the word Leprechaun, probably butchering that, a compound of the Irish word lu, L-U, meaning small, and the Latin word corp, meaning body, as in corpse. Which brings us to the creature's appearance. According to 19th century author D.R. McAnally, the leprechaun stands about 3 feet tall, and surprisingly, prior to the 20th century, the leprechaun was depicted as predominantly wearing red rather than green. In his book, Irish Wonders, McAnally offers this description. He is about 3 feet high and is dressed in a little red jacket or roundabout, with red breeches buckled at the knee, gray or black stockings, and a hat, cocked in the style of a century ago. Over a little, old, withered face. Round his neck is an Elizabethan ruff, and frills of lace are at his wrists. On the wild west coast, where the Atlantic winds bring almost constant rains, he dispenses with ruff and frills and wears a frieze overcoat over his pretty red suit, so that unless on the lookout for the cocked hat, and you might pass a leprechaun on the road and never know it's himself that's in it at all. 19th century Irish songwriter and composer Samuel Lover describes the creature as quite a beau in his dress, notwithstanding, for he wears a red square-cut coat, richly laced with gold, and inexpressible of the same cocked hat, shoes, and buckles. Poet William Butler Yeats also describes the leprechaun as being dressed in red, while trooping fairies, in quotes, wore green. Different regions had their own take on the leprechaun's attire, but the predominantly red garb seems to be a consistent thread. The modern image of the leprechaun seems to be based on 19th century Irish racial stereotypes or caricatures, right down to the pug nose. I'll never look at Lucky Charms the same again. Well, what about the behaviors of the leprechaun? The leprechaun granting 3 wishes in exchange for its release seems to date back at least as far as a medieval tale entitled Adventure of Fergus, son of Letty, probably butchering that too, in which the King of Ulster is granted 3 wishes after capturing a group of leprechauns who tried to abduct him. William Butler Yeats describes the creature's characteristic wealth, often depicted as a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, as coming from, and this is in quotes, treasure crocks buried of old in wartime. One aspect of the leprechaun's behavior that seems to be overlooked in modern depictions is its fondness for cobbling shoes. In old depictions, the being is usually pictured as working on a single shoe. Poet William Allingham describes him as a wrinkled, wizened, and bearded elf, spectacles stuck on his pointed nose, silver buckles to his hose, leather apron, shoe in lap, or shoe in his lap. McAnally describes the creature as, quote-unquote, not wholly good nor wholly evil, in being the product of the union between an evil spirit and a quote-unquote degenerate fairy. But I'm sick of talking about leprechauns, surprisingly. From someone who's a quarter Irish, happy St. Paddy's Day.